Captain Jake Morrison stood at the center of his ship's command room. Through the large window in front of him, he could see space filled with enemy ships. 200 alien vessels moved in perfect lines toward his single human ship. Each enemy ship was 3 times larger than his own vessel, and their dark metal hulls gleamed with weapon ports and armor plating. The enemy ships had names that made Jake shake his head. Deathbringer, Soul Crusher, Planet Killer, Blood Drinker. The aliens loved to name their ships after terrible things. They wanted everyone in the galaxy to fear just hearing those names. Jake looked down at the small nameplate on his command. Chair. It read U.E.S. Daisy Chain in simple letters. Behind him, 43 crew members worked at their stations. Nobody spoke much, but Jake could feel their calm focus. His people knew what they were facing. The Vectari Empire had conquered 17 different alien races in the past 300 years. They had never lost a major battle. They had never met serious resistance from anyone. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez sat at the communication station. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls as alien voices filled the air. She looked up at Jake with a small frown. Captain, they're still broadcasting on all channels. Same message over and over. Put it through the speakers, Jake said. The voice that came through was deep and harsh. Even through the computer translator, Jake could hear the mockery in every word. Little human ship with the flower name. Your people chose badly when they said no to our generous offer. You could have served the Vectari Empire as workers and soldiers. Instead, you chose to fight us with one tiny ship. Laughter echoed through the communication system. Other alien voices joined in, all of them finding something very funny. Jake heard words like Daisy and Shane repeated with more laughter. Each time, Chief Engineer Pete Collins leaned over his console near the back of the command room. He was a big man with thick hands that knew every bolt and wire in the ship. Sir, they've been scanning us for 2 hours now. Their computers are telling them we're no threat at all. Jake nodded. The enemy scans would show them a ship with normal weapons and normal defenses. Nothing that looked dangerous to a fleet of 200 warships. The Vectari had good reason to feel confident. Their technology was among the best in the galaxy. Their ships carried enough firepower to turn planets into floating rocks. Captain Morrison of the flower ship, the alien voice continued. I am Admiral Zethkar of the Vectari fleet. Your small vessel amuses us greatly. We have never seen warriors who name their ships after garden plants. Do humans also name their weapons after butterflies and rainbows? More laughter filled the command room. Jake's crew kept working, but he saw several people clench their jaws. Nobody liked being laughed at, especially when facing a fight for their lives. Amy looked at her captain again. Sir, should I respond? Open a channel, Jake said. He walked closer to the main screen, where Admiral Zethkar's face appeared. The alien looked like a cross between a lizard and a wolf. Sharp teeth filled his mouth, and his yellow eyes showed nothing but contempt for the humans. Admiral Zethkar, Jake said in a calm voice, thank you for your interest in our ship's name. Before you begin your attack, might I suggest you learn more about human naming traditions? The alien's laugh was like the sound of breaking glass. Human traditions? We care nothing for the customs of a species that will be extinct in 1 hour. Your flower ship will be the first to die. Perhaps when we destroy Earth, your people will understand the mistake they made. Jake felt something cold settle in his stomach, not fear, but anger. Pure, clean anger that started in his chest and spread through his whole body. Around him, his crew had the same reaction. They had all heard the stories about what the Vectari did to conquered worlds. Dr. Lisa Park worked in her laboratory 3 decks below the command room. For months, she had been studying data from planets the Vectari had attacked. The information made her sick with rage every time she looked at it, Entire worlds turned into dead rocks. Billions of people killed not just for conquest, but as examples. To frighten other species. Sergeant Dan Murphy commanded the ship's security forces. 20 Marines under his command were ready for boarding actions, but he knew this battle would be won or lost in space. He had seen the pictures of Vectari, examples too. Whole species wiped out completely. Every man, woman, and child killed. To send a message to the galaxy, Navigation Officer Curran Light monitored the positions of all enemy ships. They moved in perfect formation, showing off their discipline and coordination. The Vectari wanted the humans to see how hopeless their situation was. 200 ships against one. No possible way to win. Admiral, Jake continued, your scans show you our basic specifications. But I wonder if your computers told you why we chose this particular name for our ship. Zethkar waved one clawed hand dismissively. We care nothing for your flower names, human. Surrender now, and we will make your death quick. Refuse, and we will take you apart piece by piece while you watch. Jake smiled, and the expression was not pleasant. You see, Admiral, humans do name our ships after things we love. Flowers, peaceful places, people we remember with honor. We do this because it reminds us what we're fighting to protect. The alien leaned forward on his screen. Fighting to protect? You have one ship, human. We have 200. Your protection means nothing. But you haven't asked the important question, Jake said. You haven't asked why Earth sent only one ship to meet your invasion fleet. For the first time, Jake saw uncertainty flicker in the alien's yellow eyes. It matters nothing. One ship or 100 ships, the result is the same. The Vectari Empire takes what it wants. Jake looked around his command room. Every person at every station was ready. Months of preparation had led to this moment. The daisy chain was not just a ship. It was a statement. A message from humanity to the galaxy about what happened when you threatened their world. Admiral Zethkar, Jake said quietly, you're about to learn something important about human traditions. We don't just name our ships after gentle things. We also name them after concepts you might not understand. What concepts? The alien demanded. The concept of consequences, Jake replied. All stations, prepare for battle. The communication channel went silent as the Vectari fleet began to move into attack formation. Jake watched 200 enemy ships arrange themselves in a perfect sphere around his vessel. Each ship bristled with weapons designed to crack planets. Together, they carried enough firepower to sterilize entire solar systems. But Jake Morrison was not afraid. His ship was ready. His crew was ready. And the galaxy was about to learn what humans meant when they talked about protecting the things they loved. Dr. Lisa Park ran through the corridors of the daisy chain with data files clutched in her hands. Her laboratory was deep inside the ship, protected by layers of armor and emergency shields. She had been working there for 6 months, studying the worst secrets the galaxy had to offer. The elevator carried her up to the command deck in 30 seconds. When the doors opened, she could see Captain Jake Morrison standing calmly in front of the main screen. The Vectari fleet hung in space. Around them like a cloud of metal death. 200 ships, each one capable of destroying cities. Captain, Lisa called out, breathing hard from her run. You need to see what I found, right now. Jake turned away from watching the enemy fleet. Lisa's face was pale, and her hands shook as she held her data files. In all the months he had known her, Jake had never seen the tough scientist look so upset. Show me, he said. Lisa connected her portable computer to the main display system. The screen flickered, and suddenly the command room was looking at something that made everyone stop working. It was a planet, or what used to be a planet. The surface was smooth glass, reflecting starlight like a giant mirror. No clouds, no oceans, no signs of life anywhere. This is Kepler 442b, Lisa said, her voice tight with emotion. 3 billion. Scilethi people lived here 6 months ago. They had cities, farms, schools, families. They had art and music and literature. They had children playing in parks and old people telling stories. She changed the image to show what the planet had looked like before. Green continents, blue oceans, white clouds swirling in beautiful patterns. Cities that sparkled with lights. At night, it looked like a place where people would want to live and raise their families. The Scilethi tried to resist when the Vectari invaded, Lisa continued. They fought for 3 weeks. They destroyed 12 Vectari ships and killed thousands of their soldiers. So the Vectari decided to teach the galaxy a lesson. The image changed back to the dead world of glass. Lisa's hands were shaking harder now. They used their planet. Killer weapons, not just on the cities or the military bases. On everything. Every forest, every farm, every small town. They boiled the oceans and melted the continents. They killed every living thing on the planet, down to the smallest microbe. Sergeant Dan Murphy stepped closer to look at the screen. His face was hard, as stone. How long did it take? 47 minutes, Lisa whispered. 47 minutes to murder an entire world. She changed the display again. Now they were looking at 6 more planets. All of them turned into the same smooth glass. Dead worlds that once held billions of people. Jake felt his hands clench into fists as he looked at them. They've done this to every species that fought back, Lisa said. Complete planetary sterilization. They call it their final solution protocol. They want other species to know what happens when you resist the Vectari Empire. Chief Engineer Pete Collins spoke up from his station. Captain, I'm reading massive energy signatures from their fleet. They're not just here to conquer Earth. Those are planet killer ships mixed in with their regular warships. Jake felt the cold anger in his chest grow stronger. How many planet killers? 20 ships, sir. Each one carries enough firepower to glass a continent. Navigation Officer Karen White looked up from her controls. Captain, we're receiving another transmission from Admiral Zethkar. He wants to talk to you again. Put him through, Jake said. Alien's face appeared on the screen again. This time, his yellow eyes gleamed with cruel pleasure. Captain Morrison, I hope you have been thinking about our generous offer. Surrender your ship, and we will allow your planet to serve the Empire. Your people will live as our workers and soldiers. Jake stared at the alien commander. And if we refuse? Zethkar's mouth opened in what might have been a smile. His sharp teeth caught the light from his ship's control room. Then we demonstrate to the galaxy what happens to species that defy us. We have 20 planet killer ships in our fleet. Human, enough to turn your Earth into beautiful glass. Like you did to the Scilethi worlds, Jake said quietly. The alien laughed. Ah, you have been studying our work. Yes, exactly like the Scilethi, and the Kentari before them, and the Vosh before them. We have created many glass worlds, Captain. They serve as monuments to Vectari power. Lisa stepped forward, her face white with rage. You murdered billions of innocent people. We eliminated resistance, Zethkar corrected. We taught the galaxy that fighting the Vectari Empire is pointless. Every species learns this lesson eventually. Some learn by watching others die. Some must be taught personally. Jake looked around his command room. Every member of his crew was listening to the alien's words. He saw the same cold anger in there, faces that he felt in his own heart. These people had volunteered for this mission, knowing they might not return home. They had families and friends on Earth who were counting on them. Admiral, Jake said, let me ask you something. In all your years of conquest, have you ever faced a species that fought back effectively? Zethkar waved a clawed hand dismissively. Some species fight harder than others. The Silithy lasted 3 weeks, as your scientist mentioned. The Kentari managed to resist for 2 months. But the result is always the same. We are stronger. I see, Jake nodded. And you believe humans will be the same? Of course. You have sent one ship to face our fleet of 200. This shows either incredible stupidity or complete desperation. Either way, the outcome is obvious. Jake turned to look at his crew. Again, Amy Rodriguez sat ready at her communication station. Pete Collins monitored the ship's power systems. Dan Murphy kept track of their defensive status. Karen White watched the positions of all enemy ships. Every person was calm, focused, and ready. Admiral Zithkar, Jake said, turning back to the screen. You're right about one thing. This will be a lesson that teaches the galaxy something important. But I don't think you understand who will be learning and who will be teaching. The alien's eyes narrowed. What do you mean, human? Jake smiled, and the expression was colder than deep space. You've been asking about our ship's name. You've been laughing about daisies and flowers. But you never asked about the second word. Chain? Zethkar looked confused. What does this word mean? It means connection, Jake explained. It means one thing linked to another, and that thing linked to the next, and so on. But in human military terms, Admiral, a daisy chain means something very specific. The alien leaned forward on his screen. For the first time, Jake saw real uncertainty in those yellow eyes. It means a series of explosions, Jake continued. Each one triggers the next, creating a chain reaction that grows stronger with every link. The more targets you connect, the more powerful the final result becomes. Zethkar's confidence began to waver. You speak in riddles, human. All hands, Jake announced to his crew. Battle stations. It's time to show the galaxy what happens when you threaten our home. Red lights began flashing throughout the ship as every system powered up for combat. The daisy chain was about to teach the Vectari Empire a lesson they would never forget. The first Vectari attack came without warning. Admiral Zethkar had grown tired of talking to the stubborn humans. 20 ships in the front line opened fire at the same time. Brilliant red energy beams shot across space toward the lone human. Vessel Captain Jake Morrison watched the attack approach on his main screen. The energy weapons looked like massive lightning bolts racing toward his ship. Each beam carried enough power to destroy a small moon. 20 beams together should have turned the daisy chain into floating metal pieces. Instead, something impossible happened. The energy beams struck the human ship and simply disappeared. No explosion, no damage, no effect at all. The daisy chain continued floating in space as if nothing had happened. On the Vectari command ship, Admiral Zethkar stared at his screen in confusion. What happened? Why is the human ship still intact? His weapons officer, a nervous alien named Sub-Commander Crix, checked his instruments twice before answering. Sir, our energy readings show that all weapon fire reached the target, but there was no detonation. The human ship appears to have absorbed our attacks. Absorbed them? Zethkar's voice rose to a roar. No species has defensive technology that advanced. Fire again. All ships, concentrate your fire on that human vessel. The order went out across the Vectari fleet. 200 ships turned their weapons toward the daisy chain and opened fire. The space around the human ship became a storm of energy beams, plasma bolts, and fusion missiles. Enough firepower to crack a planet lit up the darkness like a new star. Aboard the daisy chain, Chief Science Officer Alex Turner watched his instruments with satisfaction. He was a thin man with thick glasses who had spent his whole life studying energy physics. What he saw on his screens made him smile for the first time in months. Captain, Alex reported, our defensive grid is working perfectly. We're absorbing 97% of their energy output. The remaining 3% is being deflected harmlessly into space. Jake nodded and turned to his weapons officer. Commander Kate Phillips sat at her station with her hands ready over the firing. Controls. She was a former Navy pilot who had volunteered for this mission because she wanted to protect Earth. Her dark eyes were focused completely on her instruments. Kate, Jake said quietly, are we ready? All systems charged and ready, sir. She replied, we now have enough stored energy to power a small city for a year. The Vectari attack continued for 5 full minutes. Every ship in their fleet fired every weapon they had. The barrage was so intense that it created its own light show, visible from 3 solar systems away. But when the firing finally stopped, the daisy chain still floated undamaged in space. Admiral Zethkar felt something he had never experienced before in 300 years of conquest. Fear. Cold, sharp fear that started in his stomach and spread through his whole body. How is this possible? He whispered. His science officer, an elderly alien named Dr. Voth, studied the readings from their attacks. Admiral, our instruments show that the human ship has some kind of energy absorption system. Instead of taking damage from our weapons, it appears to be storing the energy we fire at it. Storing it? Zethkar felt his fear grow stronger. Storing it for what? Before anyone could answer, the human ship began to change. Panels along its hull slid open to reveal something the Vectari scanners had not detected. Hidden beneath the outer armor was a single massive weapon that ran the entire length of the ship. Captain Jake Morrison opened a communication channel to the Vectari fleet. His voice was calm and steady, but there was something cold and final in his tone. Admiral Zethkar, he said, thank you for charging our weapon system. We couldn't have done this without your help. On the main screen, the alien commander's face had gone pale. What weapon system? Our scans showed only standard human technology. Your scans showed what we wanted them to show, Jake replied. You see, Admiral, when humans design a weapon, we think about how our enemies will try to fight us. You prefer overwhelming firepower and direct attacks. So we built a ship that turns your greatest strength into your greatest weakness. The weapon port on the daisy chain began to glow with stored energy. All the power from 200 alien ships absorbed and concentrated into a single point. The light was so bright that the Vectari crews had to shield their eyes. Impossible, Zethkar breathed. No single weapon can threaten an entire fleet. You're absolutely right, Jake agreed. No single weapon can. But you've spent the last 5 minutes charging our weapon with the combined power of your entire fleet. We're simply giving back what you gave us. Commander Kate Phillips made final adjustments to her targeting system. Captain, weapon fully charged. All enemy ships are locked into our targeting computer. Admiral, Jake continued, speaking to the terrified alien. Earlier you asked about our ship's name. You laughed about daisies and flowers. But you never really understood what a daisy chain means in human military terms. The weapon on the daisy chain reached maximum charge. Energy readings showed power levels that should have been impossible for any single ship to generate or control. A daisy chain, Jake explained, is a series of connected explosions. Each explosion triggers the next one, which triggers the next one after that. The chain reaction grows stronger with each connection. Dr. Voth on the Vectari command ship suddenly understood what was about to happen. Admiral, their weapon isn't designed to destroy ships individually. It's designed to create a chain reaction that connects every ship in our fleet. Zethkar. Yellow eyes went wide with terror. All ships? Break formation. Scatter immediately. But it was too late. The Vectari fleet had maintained their perfect sphere formation throughout the battle. They had stayed close together to concentrate their firepower on the human ship. Now that formation became a death trap. "Fire," Jake ordered quietly. Kate Phillips pressed the firing control. The daisy chain released 5 minutes' worth of stored energy from 200 alien ships, all focused into a single beam of pure destruction. The beam struck the nearest Vectari ship and immediately jumped to the next vessel in formation. The energy found the easiest path through space, leaping from ship to ship like lightning seeking the ground. Each jump carried more power than the last as the chain reaction built on itself. Admiral Zethkar watched in horror as the energy beam connected. Every ship in his fleet, the same tight formation that had been their strength, was now carrying their destruction from vessel to vessel. "This is impossible," he gasped as alarms screamed throughout his command ship. "No weapon can do this." "You're watching it happen," Jake replied over the communication channel. "You brought 200 ships to destroy one world. You threatened to murder billions of innocent people. You made yourselves into a perfect target for a weapon designed to punish that kind of thinking." The chain reaction reached the Vectari command ship. Admiral Zethkar had just enough time to realize that his empire's 300 years of easy conquest were about to end. Then the stored energy of his own fleet's weapons tore his ship apart. In less than 60 seconds, the chain reaction had connected every vessel in the Vectari invasion force. The aliens watched their own power destroy them as the daisy chain turned their strength against them. The galaxy was about to learn a new lesson about what happened when you threatened humanity's home. The silence after the battle was complete and terrible. Where 200 Vectari ships had once filled space with their dark hulls and glowing weapons, now only twisted metal and floating debris remained. The chain reaction had torn through the entire fleet in less than 60 seconds, leaving behind a graveyard of broken dreams and shattered arrogance. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the daisy chain, watching the rescue teams work. Small human shuttles moved carefully through the wreckage, looking for survivors. His crew worked with quiet efficiency, but Jake could see the weight of what they had done in their faces. "Captain," reported Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez from her communication station, "we found 12 survivors from the Vectari command ship. Sergeant Murphy's teams are bringing them aboard now." Jake nodded. 12 survivors out of a crew of 300,000 aliens. The mathematics of war were always brutal, but these numbers felt especially heavy. The Vectari had come to commit genocide against humanity. Instead, they had found their own destruction. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Ben Carter worked in the ship's medical bay, treating wounded aliens who had tried to kill him an hour earlier. He was a gentle man who had taken an oath to save lives regardless of who those lives belonged to. Even enemy lives mattered to him. Admiral Zethkar lay on one of the medical tables, badly injured but alive. Burns covered half his body, and his left arm was broken in 3 places. Dr. Carter worked carefully to stabilize the alien's condition, while 2 Marines stood guard nearby. "Why?" Zethkar whispered when he saw Captain Morrison enter the medical bay. "Why are you helping us?" "We came to destroy your world." Jake pulled up a chair and sat beside the injured alien commander. "Because that's what humans do. We help people who need help, even when those people are our enemies." Zethkar has yellow eyes filled with confusion. "This makes no sense. You defeated our fleet. By the laws of war, you should claim our territory. You should enslave our people. This is how conquest has always worked." "Maybe that's the problem," Jake replied quietly. "Maybe it's time for conquest to work differently." Dr. Carter finished bandaging the alien's wounds and moved on to treat other survivors. Jake remained beside Zethkar's bed, studying the defeated admiral. This creature had ordered the deaths of billions of innocent people across 17 different worlds. He had come to Earth planning to commit the same genocide. Yet here he was, receiving medical care from the people he had tried to murder. "I don't understand your species," Zethkar said. "You have the power to destroy us completely. Your weapon technology is beyond anything we imagined possible. Yet you treat our wounded and save our survivors." Jake leaned back in his chair. "Admiral, can I tell you something about human history? We've made a lot of mistakes over the centuries. We've fought wars against each other for stupid reasons. We've hurt innocent people because we were afraid or angry or greedy. But we learned something important from all those mistakes." "What did you learn?" "We learned that strength without wisdom is just destruction. We learned that winning a battle doesn't mean anything if you lose your soul in the process." Jake gestured toward Dr. Carter, who was carefully treating a young Vektari officer. "That man treating your people is stronger than any weapon we've ever built." Zethkar watched the human doctor work. "He heals the people who tried to kill him because he understands what we're really fighting for," Jake explained. "We're not fighting for conquest or territory or power. We're fighting for the right of innocent people to live in peace. That includes your people, Admiral." The alien's confusion deepened. "Our people? But we are your enemies." "Your government is our enemy," Jake corrected. "Your military leaders who order the murder of entire worlds are our enemies. But the ordinary people of your empire? The families and children and workers who just want to live their lives? They're not our enemies. They're the people we want to protect." Navigation Officer Corinne White entered the medical bay and approached Captain Morrison. "Sir, we're receiving transmissions from across the galaxy. Word of the battle is spreading fast." "What kind of transmissions?" 17 different species that the Vektari conquered are asking to speak with us. They want to know if the rumors are true. They want to know if someone finally defeated the Vektari Empire. Jake felt a heavy responsibility settle on his shoulders. The battle was over, but the real work was just beginning. "What else?" "We're also receiving messages from the Vektari home worlds. Their government is asking for terms of surrender." Admiral Zethkar tried to sit up in his bed, wincing from his injuries. "Surrender? The Empire has never surrendered to anyone. The Empire has never lost an entire fleet to a single enemy ship," Jake pointed out. "Your leaders are probably wondering what other weapons Earth might have. They're probably wondering if we have more ships like the Daisy Chain. Do you?" Zethkar asked. Jake smiled, but there was no cruelty in the expression. "Admiral, that's a question your people will have to think about very carefully. But here's what I can tell you. Earth doesn't want to conquer your empire. We don't want your worlds or your resources or your people as slaves. Then what do you want?" "We want the killing to stop," Jake said simply. "We want the Vektari Empire to stop destroying entire species. We want the 17 worlds you've conquered to be free again. We want the galaxy to be a place where different species can coexist without fear." Dr. Carter approached the two leaders. "Captain, the Admiral, is stable. His injuries will heal completely with time and rest." "Thank you, Doctor." Jake stood up from his chair. "Admiral Zethkar, you and your survivors will be returned to Vektari space with full medical care and supplies. You'll carry a message from Earth to your government." "What message?" "That humanity is willing to help your empire become something better than what it's been. We're willing to share technology and knowledge that could improve life for all your people. But there's one condition that isn't negotiable." Zethkar waited for the terms that would reshape his entire civilization. "The planetary sterilizations end now," Jake said firmly. "No more glass worlds, no more genocide, no more murdering entire species as examples to others. That stops immediately, or Earth will stop it for you." The alien admiral looked around the medical bay where humans were carefully treating his wounded. "Soldiers, and if we agree to these terms, Then we work together to build something better. The galaxy is big enough for all of us, Admiral. There's no reason for any species to live in fear of extinction." As Jake left the medical bay, he passed by the main observation window. Through the transparent aluminum, he could see the debris field that had once been a mighty invasion fleet. But he could also see something else. Small lights moving through the wreckage as rescue teams continued their work. Humans saving the lives of aliens who had come to destroy them. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't the technology that could chain together explosions across an entire fleet. Their greatest weapon was the moral strength to show mercy when they had the power to show none. Admiral Zethkar would return to his home worlds carrying more than just Jake's message. He would carry the memory of human doctors treating enemy wounded. He would carry the knowledge that strength and compassion could exist in the same species. The Vectari, Empire's 300 years of conquest, had ended in 60 seconds of chain reaction. But their chance for redemption was just beginning.